미주 한인 우리 세상. 안녕하세요. 미우새입니다.
2024년 6월 제387화 미주한인 우리 세상 지금 시작합니다. 안녕하세요. 아리조나의 태바위입니다. 올해 무소속으로 미국 대통령 출마 선언을 한 닥터 시바 아야두라이입니다. 인사 나누기 전에 간단히 소개 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 이메일을 독자적으로 발명해서 저작권을 등록한 분이에요. MIT 박사이고요. 또 과학자이며 발명가, 기업가이자 생물학 공학 박사 학위를 포함 MIT에서 4개의 학위를 취득한 풀브라이트 장학생이기도 합니다. 매사추세츠에서 수천 개의 일자리를 제공하는 7개의 성공적인 하이텍 회사를 시작했고요. 인도 출신의 닥터 시바는 근본 원인을 파악하고 사람들을 모아 어려운 문제를 해결하는 방법에 대해 실제 솔루션을 혁신한다고 합니다. 미국 내 좌파와 우파를 넘어 미국에 봉사를 하고 싶어 대통령 출마를 선언하게 되었다고 하네요. I'd like to introduce my guest for today's talk, Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, who announced his candidacy for President of the United States as an independent this year. Before I introduce him, let me give you a little bit of background. Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai is known for independently inventing and copywriting email. He is a scientist, inventor, entrepreneur, and Fulbright scholar. With a full degree from MIT, including PhD in biological engineering, entrepreneurial front, he has started 7 successful high-tech companies that provide many jobs in Massachusetts. Originally from India, Dr. Shiva known for innovating real-world solutions by identifying root cause and bring people together to solve difficult problems. He says he's running for president because he wants to serve America beyond. 오늘 또 한 번 소개해드리겠습니다. 이분은 닥터 시바 캠프에서 봉사활동을 하고 계신 캘리포니아의 유지선 선생님이십니다. Another person came out today. She is 지선 유 from California and is volunteer at the Dr. Shiva camp. 이번에 대통령 출마를 하신다고 들었는데요. 현재 대권 주자로 등록이 된 상태인지 질문할게요. Hi, Dr. Shiva and Mrs. Yu. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Are you currently registered presidential candidate?
Yes, I announced my run for president in April of 2023. And so we're an officially registered candidate. We have hundreds of thousands of volunteers across the United States. And in every state, we're working to get on the ballot. Right? In the United States, you need to get on the ballot. Yes, so I'm an official candidate for US president in the United States.
닥터 시바님이 작년 4월 23일 날 대통령 대선 등록을 하셨습니다.
Presidency is a very challenging job. When and how did you decide to run for president on the personal level?
We should define what is a president, in the United States. First of all, a president is someone who represents the broad mass of people, who's a representative of the people ultimately. And if you look at the United States right now, most of the people in the United States, either this generation or several generations, are all immigrants. So, I'm a first generation immigrant. Number two, most of the people in the United States are working class people who work very, very hard to create things for themselves and their family. However, when you look at what's going on in the United States, the people who run for president and who get to hold that office do not represent the people of the United States. They represent a very small fraction of the United States, the 0.001%. if you look at my history, my background, my qualifications, I represent the 90+% of people in the United States of who I am. You know, I'm a working class person. I grew up in New Jersey. I earned everything I have, and I've contributed significantly to the United States. And I created the first email system. I've created many companies, created thousands of jobs. None of these other candidates have done that. They're all actually fake. They do not represent the people. They represent the people who actually oppress people in this country. So if you look at the United States right now, the life expectancy, which means how long people live, has been going down, okay, for the last 60 years. So these people who have been president have been contributing to the destruction of health of people. In addition, most Americans right now only have about $400 in their bank account for a bad day. So wealth is being also destroyed. So, you know, my life has been about solutions, delivering solutions, and actually being bottoms up. And that's what this country needs. That's why I decided to run for president, because nobody else except me comes close to representing the people of this country.
Many of presidents try to solve these problems, but do you think you have your own solution?
You have to understand, there are two sets of people in the United States. The majority, or the 90% of people, and then the small elite. So when these presidents come to power, they are not solving problems for the people. They're solving problems for a small set of people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Right. Yes, when they solve problems,
Yeah.
they actually create problems for the majority of people. So they don't solve any problems. This is why, you know, in the last 50 years in the United States, $47 trillion in income, wages, has been transferred from the majority of people to a small set of people. For example, in 2021, 600 billionaires increased their wealth by $2.3 trillion, while others, businesses were destroyed during the quote unquote pandemic. So yeah, they solve problems for the elite. They do not solve problems for the hundreds of millions of people. I actually solve problems for the hundreds of millions of people. My life shows that. I already have an incredible resume of solving problems. These people have no resume of solving any problems for all of us.
다 아시다시피 빈익빈 부익부가 너무 심해지고 게다가 지난 60년간 기대 수명마저도 점점 줄어들고 있습니다. 그러나 많은 대통령들이 이런 걸 시도했지만 그 사람들은 진정으로 90% 이상의 이 미국인을 대표하는 게 아니라 아주 소수의 특권층이나 이런 사람들을 대표하는 그런 대통령들이었기 때문에 이 사람들은 문제를 풀 수 없었지만 닥터 시바는 정말로 이민을 해왔고 다수의 사람들과 똑같은 상황에서 자랐고 실제로 이메일도 개발했고 창업을 해서 많은 사람들에게 일자리도 제공한 경력이 있기 때문에 미국이 갖고 있는 문제를 풀 수 있는 해결책이 있다. 뭐 이렇게 말씀하시는 것 같습니다.
제가 유지선 선생님께 여쭤볼게요. 아니, 어떻게 닥터 시바 캠프에서 이렇게 활동하게 됐는지 궁금하거든요.
2019년 코로나 팬데믹 사건이 터졌을 때 저는 그 사건을 잘 주시했습니다. 왜냐하면 제가 미국에서도 그렇고 한국에서도 그렇고 간호학을 전공하고 더구나 전염병에 대해서 관심이 굉장히 많았기 때문에 쭉 주시하고 있는데 닥터 시바와 닥터 부탈 두 분을 제가 소개를 받았어요. 그리고 이제 한국에 계시는 그 세포학 전문가 분도 이황재 님도 소개받고 그 세 분들을 제가 쭉 보면서 팬데믹에 대한 그 문제 해결점 이런 걸 찾게 되었거든요. 그때부터 닥터 시바를 쭉 보면서 그때부터 닥터 시바가 Natural Immune System, 그러니까 자기 자신의 면역체를 올릴 수 있는 방법, 비타민 C, 비타민 D 이런 여러 가지를 하면서 사실상 전 세계적으로 몇백만 명의 사람을 살렸어요. 그러고 있는데 작년 제가 알기는 6월 정도 닥터 시바님이 대통령에 나간다고 그래서 너무나 반가웠습니다. 그래서 제가 볼런티어를 하게 되었습니다.
아, 그랬군요. 자, 그러면 저 한국 분은 몇 분이나 계시는지 좀 궁금하거든요.
So if you look at Korea, we probably have in our database, we have people, remember about 500,000 people registered. I think in our database, we have close to about 100 people from Korea who've actually registered in our database. But Jasun is more of a leader, right? Out of the many people who come, Jasun has actually gotten out doing work, but we have many, many people in the Korean community who've shown interest to be part of our movement.
Jesus said that she witnessed that you cured many, many people with your own natural method.
Yes. If you look at ancient medicine from Korea, ancient medicine from India, ancient medicine from Japan, Celtic culture, Native Americans, many of the traditional systems of medicine, which go back thousands of years, had many solutions for all different aspects of health. The problem is that when the modern pharmaceutical industry came to being, they didn't value many of these solutions because these solutions were from food, from natural herbs. They were not synthetic compounds. So they couldn't make as much money. So they actually attacked many of these ancient systems of medicine. Now, what I have done is because I've been exposed to these ancient systems of medicine and also modern science, engineering science, I've been able to bridge these worlds, create a bridge between East and West. And so two of the solutions that I created, one is called Cytosolve. Cytosolve is a very powerful technology that helps us understand why these ancient systems of medicine work and to validate them, number one, and to discover new things. And then the other solution I've created is Systems Health, an educational technology and system, a university, which helps educate anyone on how to use these ancient systems of medicine with modern engineering principles to figure out the right solution for the right person at the right time. That's called personalized medicine. All the traditional medicines were personalized. If you have 3 different people with the same disease, they all didn't get the same solution. They got different solutions based on their body type. Yeah, so using these technologies and these solutions I've created, we're helping to educate many, many people on how to help other people, integrating East and West. And at the same time, Cytosolve, 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 helps us validate and discover new medicines from nature, from natural products. One of them called MV25. This product we discovered by looking at natural products from flowers and from fruits. We extracted 2 very interesting compounds that has a very powerful effect on alleviating pain and inflammation. And we did that with the computer using foods without killing any animals. We didn't kill any animals in the development of this. And this technology anyone can use now. We've made it accessible to anyone to use.
Let me tell my personal story. Yesterday for breakfast, I ate this one, milk thistle.
Oh, milk thistle, yeah.
Yeah, because I started learning about this wild weed, wild flowers and everything. So I'm trying now eating some of them. So that's why your explanation is attractive to me.
Yeah, milk thistle is good for the liver. It helps detoxify the liver.
That's
you
right.
take it, once in 6 months, you can take something like that. Obviously, you should talk to whoever your doctor is if you want. But independent of that, most doctors don't even know this, but milk thistle is also known as silymarin. They make a supplement out of it, but it's good for liver detoxification.
Thank you.
설명해 주세요, 김 사장님.
예, 저 엉겅퀴 엊그저께 또 먹었거든요. 저도 지금 관심이 많잖아요, 이 들풀에 대해서. 예, 근데 닥터 시바 말씀하시는 게 정확하시네요, 다. 이미. 그러니까 컴퓨터나 이쪽 부분도 굉장히 잘 하시고, 이런 동양의 식물, 한약, 이런 거에 대해서도 아주 굉장히 해박한 지식을 갖고 계시네요. 네.
그러시군요. 네, 그럼 next question please, 유 작가님.
Yeah, my name is Munjo Yu in North Carolina. I looked up your Wikipedia page. I saw many accomplishments. It's very impressive. You were born in India and moved to the United States at your age of 7. And you invented the email as Tiva mentioned introduction, and all that's great. And one question jumped at me from the Wikipedia page though. Barack Obama, when he was attacked by his opponents, saying that Barack Obama was not citizen by birth, so he was not eligible for president. How do you address this issue?
Well, it's very simple, okay? First of all, the Constitution,
Mm-hmm.
the 14th Amendment, made it very clear that you cannot discriminate between someone born in the United States and someone who becomes a citizen after coming to the United States. Naturalized citizen and natural born. 14th Amendment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, eligibility for becoming president originally said only he can be president. He, H-E, which means a man.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if you just follow the Articles of Confederation, only he can be president. But we forget there were amendments to the Constitution. The Constitution just didn't get created in 1787.
Mm.
There's been many amendments.
Mm-hmm.
One of those amendments was the 19th Amendment, which applied the Equal Protection Clause
Mm-hmm.
to all women. That's why a woman can be president. But the original thing says only he. The original says only a natural born citizen can be president. But they never define natural born. Okay? In fact, the Marquis de Lafayette, who was a Frenchman, born in France, they later said he was natural born. You see, this definition has no definition to it. But we do know the 14th Amendment clearly said that if you're born in the United States, or if you're born outside, let's say you're born in Korea, and then you come to the United States and become a citizen, it is illegal to discriminate between those two people by national origin. It's racism, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which is not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So, pursuant to the 14th Amendment, it is unconstitutional for me not to be allowed to be president. So Wikipedia doesn't know what it's talking about, okay? By the way, you need to understand, most high school teachers will not allow people to use Wikipedia as a reference in their class. A naturalized citizen cannot be discriminated by a quote unquote someone born in the United States. It's illegal. That was decided in the 14th Amendment. Period. So what our campaign is doing is educating people on this fundamental issue. You cannot discriminate by race. You cannot discriminate by national origin. You cannot discriminate by sex.
Yeah, that's good to know.
The problem is that Donald Trump really didn't study history. He doesn't understand this. You know, he wasn't a good student, okay?
Yeah, we know he is very ignorant.
I'm the first presidential candidate to openly run
Mm-hmm.
as a naturalized citizen. We're educating people. It's false, okay? And in fact, in 2011, the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, clearly said that any naturalized citizen can run for president. They made a ruling. The problem is you have a lot of people who are ignorant of the law. So we have to correct them. But I've always done things that were new, okay? People said I couldn't create email when I was 14. Well, I created email. Here's a copyright for email, okay? When I was 14 years old. People thought it was impossible. You know, a lot of people don't do their homework. They don't study. They're not good students. So this is a problem, okay? So we have to educate people. That's what our campaign's about, educating people about the possibilities of what we can do.
닥터 시바가 미국에서 태어나지 않고 인디아에서 태어나가지고 여기 이민을 오셨기 때문에 이런 문제가 없는지에 대해서 여쭤봤습니다. 그럼 닥터 시바는 문제가 없다. 왜냐하면은 수정헌법 4조에 의하면 그러니까 자연적인 태생인 그 미국 시민권자와 귀화한 미국 시민권자 사이에 차별을 둬서는 안 된다. 이 조항 때문에 대통령이 될 자격이 있다고 그 답하셨습니다.
대통령이 된다면 미국 사회에 어떤 변화를 만들고 싶은지 제가 여쭤볼게요. Now the next question is, what changes would you like to make in American society if you were president?
Our movement is about three things: truth, freedom, health. Truth, freedom, health. First of all, the reason many people come to the United States was because of freedom. Freedom allows us to have conversations, to discuss, to put all sorts of ideas. And from freedom, we can look at all different ideas and do good science, to innovate, right? To discover things. Without freedom, you can't exchange ideas. So when you have lots of ideas, you're going to have lots of good innovation and lots of good science, all right? And when you have good science and you have freedom and you have truth and freedom, you can have health, which means healthy people, because you discover what is good for you and you have open discourse. In the United States, what has happened in November of 2018, November 16, 2018, a law was passed which allowed the government to control social media, okay? To do censorship. I was the one who discovered that censorship, how the government is now illegally colluding with social media companies to suppress freedom. This is not good. So the first thing I would do is I would reverse that law. And that law would be the law that created CISA, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. They use this infrastructure to surveillance and censor US citizens, which is illegal. So that's the first thing, because without freedom, you have nothing. That law needs to be reversed. The second thing I would do is to cut all funding to Israel and end Zionism. The Israeli lobby controls the politicians in the United States. And by the way, Zionism is not Judaism. The Zionists actually collaborated with the Nazis to kill Jews in Germany. So our movement is educating people on this. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. This is very, very important. The United States is not serving the American people. It's serving a small set of people whose interest is perpetuating Zionism, which is anti-American. So that's number two. The third thing is the life expectancy. People are living shorter and shorter in the United States. Life expectancy is going down. People don't have proper food. People are stressed out. People don't have community. They have massive income inequality, massive stress. Most Americans have an incredible amount of stress. So you have life expectancy going down. So how do you cure this? Well, number one thing is that healthcare system in the United States is not about healthcare. It's about making money. It's become disease care. So the only way out of this is that the patient must learn how the body works as a system. The patient must actually have direct choices to have interactions with their doctor. Today, a doctor can only see their patients for 15 minutes. The doctor doesn't even look at the patient. They're looking at the computer to do the billing. The healthcare system became like this because there's corruption between the insurance companies, between the pharmaceutical companies, and between the big hospitals. And that corruption needs to be broken up. So that's the third thing that needs to be done. So now you have health, you have freedom, and then when it comes to science, the United States doesn't do great science as it should anymore, because many of the scientific institutions, Harvard, MIT, Stanford, they just are about taking money. And in fact, they do a lot of fraudulent science. You may have seen that there were professors at one institution in the United States which photoshopped pictures of scientific experiments that were not true for Alzheimer's research. Okay? There's a lot of criminal behavior taking place in science by the big institutions and nothing happens to them. So anyone who does defrauding or fake science using public funding should be thrown in jail. But this doesn't happen right now. So we have fake science, we have censorship, and we don't have people being able to take care of their bodies. Okay? So those are the three things that I would solve immediately. Because if you don't have healthy people and you don't have freedom and you can't really do discoveries, real science, that's not good. The last thing is, I created email while I was 14 years old in a small medical college in one of the poorest cities in the United States in 1978. That was before I came to MIT, okay? So people think that you must go to MIT and Harvard to be able to create big things. This is not true. So we have to support innovation in high school level, right? Long before people come to MIT, because the innovations that are coming out today are not really that great innovations. Most of the innovations are about killing people that come from war, you see? So innovation needs to be changed, so we support innovation much more broadly. So those are the things I do. Innovation, stop the censorship, expand science to do real science, and support health.
Yeah, that's good, great and noble goals. One tries to fix those problems, meet tremendous resistance or even attacks from those elites who control the country and even own the country. To counter that, we need the one would need a lot of support. What's your plan?
Yes, that's very good. So first of all, my running for president, if you notice our bumper sticker here that says Shiva for president, you see that? But you see there's something before this. What does it say there? I mean, where is it over here? It says truth, freedom. You see that here? Truth.
Yeah, we see that.
Yeah, freedom and health.
Okay, this is a movement, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is not me. We've created a movement, a global movement all over the world. In Asia, in India, in Europe, in UK, in Africa, in the United States, in Canada, and Latin America, we have a movement called Truth, Freedom, Health. And this is a global movement which educates people on why we must build a bottoms-up movement to counter this resistance. Number two, this movement did a very powerful video, which you may want to put into your program, called Shatter the Swarm. Just soon we'll share it with you. Shatter the Swarm. It educates people on how the few control the many. There's 8 billion of us. There's only about 100,000 of them. Okay? So how is it that 100,000 people are controlling 8 billion? Well, I figured that out and I did a small video on it. And we are educating people how the few control the many. And once people understand this, they can stop from being controlled. You follow? It's in the mind. Most of the things begin in the mind. So we have a movement. That's the right answer to the question. This movement, I would not be running for president without focusing on building this movement. Without a movement, nothing will change. Getting elected president without a movement would change nothing, but we have a movement behind ourselves. The swarm is a very complex set of things that move together. You see, like a school of fish. So you should all watch shattertheswarm.com. It'll really give you an idea of how the few control the many.
우리가 닥터 시바와 인터뷰 정하고 뭐 찾아볼 수 있는 게 위키피디아인데 거기에 많은 일들이 나와 있어요. 아주 안 좋은 것들이 많아요. 그 코비드 때 백신 반대했다. 심지어는 큐아논 신봉자다. 이런 얘기들도 많이 나왔는데 지금 막상 듣고 보니까 맞지가 않네요. 그리고 지금 이 닥터 시바가 사회 문제를 짚는데 상당히 날카롭게 짚네요, 문제들을. 헬스 같은 거를 앞에다 집어넣지 않습니까? 세 번째 항목으로. 이런 거 굉장히 신선하고 현실을 직시하는 그런 것이다. 그리고 각 분야에 대해서 굉장히 해박한 깊은 지식을 가지고 계신 것 같고 또 문제도 잘 짚어내고 하여튼 굉장히 좋네요.
You touched upon Zionism, right? You said if you were elected to be president, you would stop funding Israel immediately. How do you see Palestine, movements or protests been going on in the last October 7th?
To give you a background, I've been an activist on the ground since I was 17 years old. My position has always been that this issue is about Zionism. And if we want a free Palestine, you must end the occupation of America by Zionism. Okay, this is a very deeper analysis. So everything that occurs in that region in the Middle East is controlled by Britain and the United States. So to think that something is going to happen in Palestine by simply something happening there forgets the fact that the United States and Britain have immense vested interests in the subjugation of the Palestinian people. So this is something that needs to be understood, okay? Number one principle. So in 1980, for example, I ran one of the biggest protests here in Boston. You may remember in 1980, there was a big massacre in Palestine by a guy called Ariel Sharon. And even at that time, the liberal Zionists, quote unquote liberal Zionists, always like to use the slogan, cease fire now. You may have heard that slogan, cease fire now, right?
Yeah.
Which is a very dumb slogan. It's a very tricky slogan because ceasefire now means Israel gets to go 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Ceasefire now, which means you stop firing, but then you can go firing the next year. Now and then go fighting, go kill more Palestinians. This is what's been going on for 40, 50 years. So the right slogan is end the occupation of the United States by Zionism, you say, if you want a free Palestine. Very different slogan. Okay? Very fundamentally different slogan. So in October 7th, it's obvious to anyone who has a brain that Netanyahu is the one who orchestrated the attack on Israel. Hamas was funded by Israel for many years. And within Israel, there were close to 1 million people protesting against Netanyahu the week before. So Netanyahu wanted to distract, and therefore he had this quote unquote Hamas attack, okay? By the way, Hamas was funded by Israel. It's all very well documented. So when the protest took place in the United States, it was initially organic students who were upset. But over time, you could see many of these protests were contained. They didn't talk really about ending Zionism in the United States, okay? And then you had the police go in and suppress a lot of these students, and they showed it on TV.
Yeah.
And I think they did this because they want to scare students from doing any more anti-war protests. That's what this was about. So, and then at the same time, the United States Congress passed a bill, they haven't passed, by the House, saying that anti-Zionism equals anti-Semitism, which is what I was educating people. If you go look at the videos, we educated millions and millions of people saying that Zionism is racism in the service of imperialism. We educated many people anti-Zionism is not equal to anti-Semitism. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. In fact, 70 million quote unquote Christians are Zionists in the United States, you see? So
Including Biden.
Biden is a Zionist. Trump is a Zionist. Booby Kennedy, as I call him, is a Zionist. I'm the only non-anti-Zionist candidate running. Okay? So this is quite important to understand. So again, America is occupied by Zionism, and Zionism is anti-American.
That's why a couple of principals of Harvard or other university were fired, resigned because of that attack by conservatives.
Well, conservatives, and also the fact that Harvard is the think tank for Zionism, right? Henry Kissinger, the Kennedys, all these people. And you can also see what's important to understand with the Zionism question. It exposes Trump, it exposes people like all these people, right? They act like they care for children, right? But all of these people are fine bombing Palestine. You see? All of them. They're all criminals. Yeah.
예, 그래요. 닥터 시바께서 지금 그 팔레스타인 가자에서 일어나고 있는 일들에 대해서 좀 더 약간 다른 각도로 더 보여주네요. 그러니까 전쟁 중지 당장 살상을 멈추기 위해서 시스파이어 나우를 하지만 결국에 그거는 나중에 지금 시스파이어 하고 난 다음에 다시 또 전쟁을 시작하고 사람을 죽이고 그 다음에 우리가 그 하마스 supported by Iran, but Dr. Shiva said that actually Netanyahu supported Hamas to attack. 이런 얘기들까지 이건 약간 음모론에도 약간 드는 것 같기도 한데 하여튼 조금 새로운 시각 말씀해 주셨네요. 그리고 엔티세미티즘하고 반유대주의와 반시온주의를 엄격히 구별하라. 시오니즘은 완전 이거는 이제 우월주의고 나치주의와도 똑같은 거의 시오니즘은 그냥 이건 완전히 극우 인권 일반 이스라엘 사람들을 미워하는 엔타이세미티즘하고 다르다. 이런 거를 분명하게 이해해 주셨습니다.
그리고 그거 알면서도 그 반시오니즘을 반유대주의로 엮어가지고 같은 거로 놔가지고 그러니까 사람들을
헷갈리게 하는 거죠. 헷갈리게 하는 거죠.
아, 네,
그래요.
그렇군요. 자, 그러면 우리 이제 마지막으로 우리 유지선 선생님 그 닥터 시바 캠프에서 일하면서 느낀 점 이렇게 한마디 해주세요.
제가 느낀 점은 제가 사실 평생 이런 일 처음 해보거든요. 닥터 시바님이 지금 하는 운동, Truth, Freedom, Health, 이거는 닥터 시바님이 이때까지 계속 해온 본인의 그 활동, 운동가, 그리고 이런 것이 사람으로 인해서 우리가 바꿀 수 있다. 이 운동을 갖다가 하시기 때문에 제가 굉장히 공감해요. 그래가지고 제가 유튜브도 막 보고 뒤에 시간 잠깐 가서 매일매일 2시간씩 공부를 할수록 또 재밌는 것도 많이 나오고 그래서 제가 이제 바보가 좀 많이 조금 똑똑해졌어요. 근데 꼭 거기서 지금 하면은 제가 10년 정도 세상을 버렸거든요. 그냥 기도 맞고 이렇게 살다가 이제 코로나 팬데믹 때문에 세상이 돌아가는 것이 뭔가 분명히 잘못됐다. 이제 내가 나가서 알아보자. 이렇게 하면서 이제 닥터 시바님은 이제 자연免疫체 그 정지시키는 요법 같은 거 그런 거 쭉 보고 이제 사이토 수업을 한번 들어가시면은 엄청나는 그런 그게 과학적인 발명이 있거든요. 그거 한번 들어 제가 지금 댓글에 유튜브 아니라 이제 웹사이트에 올렸는데 그거 찾아보시고요. 그다음에
네.
제가 지금 대학에 삶의 의미를 주고 있는 것이 뭐냐면은 지금 닥터 시바님이 그게 발렛에 투표 용지 올라가기 위해서는 이름이 올라가기 위해서는 이제 볼런티어들이 시그니처를 받아야 돼. 그래서 우리가 직접 우리가 그거를 갖다가 트레이너 받고 이제 법적으로 내가 어떤 거 책임을 진다 어떤 이런 것을 다 이제 하고 그다음에 트레이너 받아서 제가 그 소리를 들고 직접 걸어가서 공원이라 가든지 어딜 가든지 해서 사람들이 설명을 하면서 시그니처를 받아요. 그래서 그것이 저한테는 사람과 만날 수 있는 기회도 되고 또 뭐 거절하는 사람도 있을 수 있고 오케이 하는 사람도 있을 수 있고 그에 대해서는 뭐 닥터시하고 우리 팀에서 어떻게 사람을 대하느냐 이런 것을 가리키는데 굉장히 그 친화적인 방법으로 사람을 이제 교화를 시키는 그런 방법을 하시거든요. 제가 지금은 굉장히 제 인생의 의미를 가지고 열심히 해요.
그러시구나. 네. 네, 오늘
오늘도 살면서 있다가 다시 좀 삶의 어떤 세송감 그런 걸 좀 가진 거네요.
아유, 그러시군요.
Lastly, could you tell any asking or advice to the Korean American community?
Well, to the Korean American community, I've worked with many Korean Americans. You know, when I went to MIT, Korean Americans are extremely hardworking people. They come from a very rich history, a cultural history, you know, of all different science, medicine, engineering, and the Korean American community has contributed a lot to the United States. And so when I look at the Korean American people, I see, you know, my fellow immigrants among them, fellow Americans with the same value system, which is most Korean Americans believe in hard work. They believe in honesty. They believe in fairness. They believe in doing the right thing. The values of our movement, Truth, Freedom, and Health, are the same as those values. And it's about working hard, bottoms up, and honoring the people who actually do the work. And if you look at the history of most of the immigrants who came from Korea, they had to build up their own, all the wealth that they earned came bottoms up. And so it's important that people recognize that in the United States right now, that it is not we the people who are running this country anymore. It is a small set of people, a finite set of people who do not represent us. They're anti-immigrant, okay? They're anti-hard work. They do not believe that we, the working people, should be getting the value for the work we do. And so this has to change. And this is why someone like me represents us. And this is why the Korean American community should get behind me and should support Shiva for president and learn more about the movement for Truth, Freedom, Health. So they can go to truthfreedomhealth.com, and they should go to Shiva4president.com, and then they should go to the site shattertheswarm.com to understand how these people are controlling us and what the solution is, which is our movement and my run for president. So I want to thank them all. Thank you for having me today.
네. 자, 그럼 이제 여기서 말씀 마치도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 말씀 잘 들었습니다. 닥터 시바 그리고 유지선 선생님 부디 원하는 결과가 나오길 바라면서 대담 마치겠습니다. I've enjoyed listening to you today. I wish you the best of luck and will conclude the interview.
Thank
I
you.
wish you the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.